occasionally we'll get calls from people, particularly spouses of individuals, who will tell us that their husband or their loved one left numerous debts and very little assets. And this is where we need to talk to them about what the rules are with regard to payment of debts from estates. So when an individual dies, what is liable for that person's debts is the estate. No individual, no executor, no spouse is personally liable for those debts. And that's important for these people to realize, because they'll get calls from creditors saying, how are you going to pay this? Well, sometimes they're not going to pay it. And so what happens is that a spouse will call up and say, listen, he left $100,000 worth of debt. The first thing I want to know is what's in his estate. And it is not unusual that there is nothing in his estate, that his real estate is joint with the spouse, the IRAs are going directly to the spouse, their bank accounts are joint. And so everything is set up that he didn't leave an estate. Well, if he didn't leave an estate, there's nothing to pay the creditors with. And that's, I suppose, some people are kind of conflicted about that. But legally, there is no obligation then to pay. Now, however, if the husband dies and he left $50,000 of assets and there's $100,000 of debts, creditors are entitled to assets. They're only entitled to what's there. And so what we do is called the deficit estate, and they get a pro rata share, so they might get 50 cents on a dollar. So everybody shares, and that's what they get, and they don't get anything more. And it's important as spouses to realize that. It's also important to realize that even if there are significant creditors, the law allows a spouse, and if there is no spouse, children under 21, to receive certain property called family exempt property. So, for example, the spouse is entitled to $25,000 of cash or cash type assets that are in the estate, regardless of the creditors. So the theory is that she cannot be poverty stricken. A spouse is entitled to a car worth less than $25,000. Spouse is entitled to furniture, various personal items. And the creditors can't go after these items. These actually pass outside of the estate and aren't even considered in the estate. So it's always worth it to talk to people about these, because we want to reassure them that they're not on the hook, or the death of a loved one is going to put them in terrible financial states for years.